Now, look at the trade, right? Trump is making a big deal about the trade deficits, and he's launching tariffs. He's going to have this trade war that he's convinced that we could win. And this is very misguided. The trade deficits are not the problem. They are the consequence of the problem. The problem is that we have bad monetary policy, bad fiscal policy, too much regulation. That's why we have a trade deficit, because American industry is not productive enough. We don't save enough. We don't make the right capital investment. That's because interest rates have been kept too low. Our tax code favors debt, and we have a lot of regulations that make American businesses less competitive. And so the result is that we import a lot of products rather than making them ourselves. And it's not because the other countries aren't fair or because they have tariffs. Tariffs are very low around the world. I mean, tariffs are not the problem. And so if Trump is simply going to erect tariffs, all that's going to do is tax the American public, because the American public has to pay the tariffs whenever they buy imported products. So this is not going to turn the economy around. But, and Trump is right. He points out that, well, at one point in time, America ran on tariffs, which is true. During the 19th century, the government raised money primarily by tariffs. But we didn't have an income tax. And so this is the irony of it. The reason we have an income tax today is because the populist politicians of the day told the American voter, if we can tax the rich with an income tax, then we can get rid of tariffs that the average person is paying. So the average person understood that tariffs cost them money. And the politicians said, let's get rid of these tariffs and let's just tax the rich. And the income tax that was originally proposed really was a tax on the very rich. I mean, even doctors and lawyers didn't pay it. I mean, you had to be super rich before you paid the tax. And then it was like, 1% to 4%. So it was a small tax, and it wasn't taken from your paycheck. Right? I mean, first of all, if you got a paycheck, you didn't pay the tax. But we didn't have withholding until 1943. That was part of the victory tax to pay for the Second World War. But Americans were told, let's tax the rich, and you won't have to pay tariffs anymore. Well, the minute the government got the nose under the tent, right? All of a sudden now the income tax affects everybody, right? People pay a lot more in income taxes today than they used to pay in tariffs. But now the president wants to bring the tariffs back on top of the income tax. I mean, if Trump wants to repeal the income tax and get rid of it entirely and then have some tariffs, I'd be okay with that. But you can't do that unless you dramatically shrink the size of government, which is the most important thing that Trump needs to do, but what he's not doing. He has to make the military smaller, not bigger. I mean, he's talking about a space force. I mean, we can't even afford the Air Force, Navy, Marines that we got now. We don't have enough money for a space force, but we have to cut everything. We got to cut entitlements. Right?
Don't you think we should be the first people to have a space force? What if the Russians come up with a space force?
Yeah, no one's going to come up with
out of luck.
What are they going to do with a space force? Who are we going to fight in space?
Maybe we fight the Russians in space.
Why would we fight them in space? They're down on Earth.
Well, maybe they want to fight in space. It's more novel.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to fight. Right?
No, but they want to be protected, right?
Yeah, I think we got that covered. I think we've got a pretty good-sized military. I don't think anyone's going to mess with us. The problem is our economy.
So when you